AV SuperFriends on Topic is an independent production wholly owned and operated by AV SuperFriends, LLC. For the highest quality recording of all of our shows, visit avsuperfriends.com. This is AV SuperFriends on Topic, a 30-minute monthly roundtable focused on a single topic. This discussion will be opinionated, to the point, and saturated with our well-known blend of painfully won expertise and deeply ingrained immaturity. For March 2025, it's the best-sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends on Topic, episode number, what are we at? 56. That's too many of these.
Just the other day, we were at 100 and something.
I don't know how we're
on
counting.
topic versus
hard, yeah.
off the
Off the
rails.
topic.
Numbers of things.
Explain it to me.
I should go back about 5 years and tell us not to do it this way. It's confusing.
Let's not do it. Maybe we'll just stop doing that.
And yes, it's Wednesday, so we're doing things a little bit differently. So broadcasting live from coast to coast and everywhere in between, transmitting across time zones faster than crummy hotel Wi-Fi. From the back of the rack to the front of the house, I'm Chris Dector, and I'm pushing buttons, flipping switches, and turning knobs. And you're tuned in for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure, but it's on Wednesday. So this is a Wednesday afternoon podcast adventure. So thanks for joining us. Impromptu with no warning. We just went live
accordingly.
So if you're wondering why we're doing this on Wednesday, it's February, it's the shorter month, and we have to squeeze in all these shows. And to be brutally honest, we forgot earlier
We're bad
on
at
and we shouldn't
things.
schedule it.
If only there were notes.
Calendars are problems for us.
Yes.
So.
True.
But
we do it anyway. We do it for
we're
you.
still here, and we're going to do the same show for you. And those of you listening to this on a recording, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
So with that in mind, let's say hello to our panel of AV SuperFriends today. With
Shit, are we having we doing notes here?
Yes. Today I'm joined by a product metrics producer from Kansas City. Say hello to Jamie Reinhardt.
I'm taking note. Getting metrics.
35 millimeter.
Also joined by a national interactions architect from Corvallis, Oregon. Say hello to Mark Kolowzinski.
We can feel it nationally, not necessarily as local as we wanted to, but nationally. We're gonna go big this time.
Also joined by an interactive identity manager from Greensboro, North Carolina. Say hello to Larry Darling.
It's like a choose your own adventure book.
It's part of your OnlyFans.
Yep.
The answer was just cough.
And finally, joined by our Vice President for Customer Optimization from Bowling Green, Kentucky, Mr. Justin Rexing.
We've optimized all of our customers by getting rid of half of them.
Are they paying still? If they're not paying, they're not customers.
There's subscription services, for sure. It's like that Netflix account you forgot you had. It's like us. That's
apparently there's some service out there that keeps track of all your subscriptions and tells you what you're subscribed
and
to.
that's
But
also
how,
a paid-for service.
right, but how does it know what you're subscribed to if you don't tell it? And if you've already forgotten, how does it know?
It knows, Chris.
Because the cloud knows.
Because Doge
so it
figured
scans,
it out.
and then the cloud comes back and tells you how much money you're
says,
wasting.
add your
My
bank
life's
account
an open
information.
book. Come get
and
it.
that costs more money to tell you how much money you're spending.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to take my identity, you got to take all of it. You don't
My
get to pick
social
and choose.
security number is
all
6.
Of it. Yes.
If you signed up for that app, you should question your life. Like,
Really?
Wait,
you're
what?
not even keeping a track of
Don't
where
worry
your
You're
about
money's
not rocket
going.
money. It's not
All
sponsored.
you have to
Yeah.
do is cross-reference your password page, and it's done.
Yeah.
I set all my passwords to be the same. It's easier that way.
I just have them as
1,
my
2, 3,
screensaver.
4.
It has the note on my computer. It's a screensaver. It has all the passwords. Just runs.
I thought
That's
this
my
was
license
on
plate.
topic.
It is.
Oh, yes.
We're very specifically
This is
talking
the
about
Thanks,
topic.
Justin.
Okay.
So on today's show, we're going to discuss our process of updating standards. But first, some housekeeping.
standards.
Not the news. So first of all, if you're listening to this as a recorded MP3, we do stream live on Fridays, except today when it's Wednesday, at about 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So best way to find out when we're streaming for these like surprise
If we're on,
streaming
we're on.
things
Yeah.
is
Subscribe.
join us live or join us on Twitter, LinkedIn. Where else we stream to? YouTube, Blue Sky.
The blue face.
Yeah, Blue Sky. Just go there, blueface.com, and find it there. That's where it is.
I would not recommend that.
Yes.
No.
Blueface is
I don't-
where you want to be. And if you can't join us live, we still want you to connect with us. So join us on those same social media locations, and please spread the word. Share this podcast with your friends, colleagues, enemies, perfect strangers, and anyone else who might enjoy it. If you could pull out into the middle of a busy intersection, stop traffic of all 4 ways, and tell people to subscribe to the show, that would be fantastic.
If you're doing a keynote over the next couple of days, Tell them about us. Just take some time out of your keynote address and
or
talk
just
about our
run
show.
one of our shows for the
As
keynote, because it's
that works
probably
too.
going to be easier that way too.
Yeah.
So. We do want to hear from you. Please reach out via email, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, all that fun stuff. If you want to support the show, please consider donating. Your contributions help us keep bringing you the honest content that you love or love to hate. And you can find the donation link in the show notes of this. The episode description of this very episode, or on our website, or wherever. So, or just put $3 in a self-addressed stamped envelope and mail it to Justin's house, care of Dog Replacement Farm, Bowling Green, Kentucky. So,
That's pretty close.
They'll figure it out. There's only like 6 guys there, so yeah, it'll work.
When you do subscribe to us on one of these services, please do leave a rating and review, because that bumps us up in the algorithms, and then more people will see us and have to deal with me telling you this every show. So,
Yes.
Sure,
all right. So thanks for your support, and we couldn't do this without you. But now enough of that. Let's go just do some actual content. So,
Yeah, what are we talking about?
what we are talking about on this show is, I think we're trying to figure out what's going to be our best approach for March, and March topic is whatever we want. So we decided we'd talk about standards, and Larry, I think you're the one who raised this. Isn't this the time of year that we need to kind of revisit our standards and how we're doing that, and make some slight changes? And
Spring cleaning.
Well, it came up because this is the time of year when several of our schools give out one-time funds. And so we're tasked with spending money quickly. And so, we typically get stuck with whatever standard was this year. We're going to continue to buy that. But Mark
You have money?
brought up that occasionally, but Mark brought up that we're doing it wrong because our standards are the entire room, and apparently he's not doing that anymore. And to me, how do you?
Is this the kit
I'm
parts?
still stuck, kind of, a little bit. I'm still in the mindset that my standard for this year is this complete system, and I'm going to install this complete system in these 30 rooms-ish, give plus or minus some stuff. And if I need to pre-purchase for next year, I'm probably going to end up having to do the exact same system. And I thought that was the way most of us were doing it.
Probably are. You're probably correct. But I'm teasing out that maybe there are budget woes from different universities across the land that may require a little bit of nuance. And I think that's the take. Jamie, what's up?
Well, I'm going to say I'm aboard the Mark bandwagon here. I don't buy things by the room anymore, and especially with end of year. It's stock my shelves with the most common things that I'm going to put everywhere, no matter what.
Do you do that for departmental spaces too? And then do you build them back, or do you have a mechanism for that?
Yeah. The kit is the kit. We have it.
The kit is the kit.
Well, because, there are some common components. But to Larry's point, departments come up with these, and they're not necessarily one-time funds as much as funds that are going to be spent out by the end of the fiscal year. And but you don't know if it's real or not. And so I'm a little, reticent to just go buy a bunch of stuff.
Jahari's
Jamie's got a fan.
Jahari's joining us today.
Yeah, look at that.
So that's departmental. If they get extra funds, then that's usually a site visit and a let's tune this thing up, right? Yeah. If it's a refresh, if it's something that's under my thing, if it's my end of year budget, I'm stocking the shelves with the everyday parts, and let's go do it. And I don't buy full room kits much anymore unless it's a brand new, it's either a capital project and or a department that comes in and says, hey, we're going to gut this room. Can you just give us new stuff?
I think if you have the luxury of doing the full room, by all means do the full room. But I don't know if that's the case everywhere anymore. I think in a perfect world where we have this nice cadence and budgets are solid and everything's moving and we're doing everything we've planned, yes. If you got the luxury and you have the time, go replace your whole room with your standard kit of stuff. And then if you had a failure along the way, you can kind of replace that. But how much kit can you get to stretch and cover as much need? To me is the intriguing piece. Like I could build out X amount of room, yes. But if I don't need to build out X amount of room, does that mean I have this inventory that I can apply towards break fix
and
if push comes to shove?
Where that kit is actually everywhere. So even if I'm going to update this entire room, chances are it's that same stuff I just stocked the shelves with.
But isn't the money you're saving with the one-time system built just being spent in labor because you're having to go to that room multiple times now?
We're going to be in the room multiple times anyway, whether it's going to be for service and cleaning or whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's a foolproof way to build your standards around. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think when we start talking about the totality of budget, right, in that if you have hundreds of spaces, and in a perfect world, yes, your budget aligns, but what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't align? You're not going to get that refresh. Are you better saying, well, I'm going to blow all this on these 10 rooms? Or is it better to say, okay, what needs to be dealt with today in that room? If it's all dead, yes, replace it all. That's fine. But can you get excess life and move things and be a little more nimble and agile? And again, I think it's a tactic. It's not this is the way it has to be for everything, right? And so if we look at our standards and say, okay, the stuff's not the standard anyway, right? That part's not part of like a Division 27. It's the infrastructure is infrastructure. What do you have as the material you're going to have on hand for endpoints? Be really critical and intentional about that. Or as Chris likes to do, go buy a giant 16 by 16 or 32 by 32 matrix switcher and just put that everywhere.
Sometimes 2 or 3,
right?
Just for fun.
Well, and I've reached a point where most of these times these refresh Larrys, I'm taking out the all-in-wonders that we like. We use a lot of cross points, right? But those are coming off, and
how dare you, sir?
It's not that they're bad. We're just changing the way we do things.
Nope, only one way.
There's only one way. Buy an all-in-wonder, and it has to all be from the same company, no matter what, because that's the only way this world turns.
If your smallest room doesn't have a full-height rack,
next to the lectern. 48.
But the all-in-wonder has to cost $4,999. So
yes, I'm not managing it as an asset. Don't even ask. It's not even a question.
So that's just where I've come in. It's just been the last couple of years that, and it's not even because of Mark's preaching. I mean, he's got a really big soapbox that he stands on about this kit of parts. But organically, that's where we've ended up.
Yeah,
especially when you're starting to use AV over IP, especially like in my case, a lot of my stuff just goes on the enterprise network, so I don't have to deal with a lot of this crap. And all of a sudden, those projectors I put in a few years ago, they're all lasers, have low hours. I'm not replacing them. Amplifiers, speakers, I'm not replacing them. So let's put in the network shit and go. Let's just go.
Like I think we have these staggered approaches of like, would love it if everything kind of died at the same time and it was all the same lifespan, but it's not. And I think I've even said in the past, it'd be nice if some things actually weren't as long-lived and would reflect that as a price point, but we're not there. But look at the totality of a space, especially the non-typical spaces, right? The ones that have the weird configurations, they're bigger or whatever it is. Do you have to have an all or not approach to those? Can you go in and say, I'm going to do transport, or I'm going to do DSP, or I'm going to do, can you stage a refresh in a non-standard space? Yeah, I'm not, time is of value and that piece can be annoying.
Man,
but can you be more effective with a budget?
That's what I live every day.
Right.
That's all we do.
I've been living that with, like I have a pharmacy project, right? And they couldn't do all the places all at once, all the time. It was just too much of a budget hop. So we're doing the thirds. It has been a never ending.
Yeah.
I do a third this year in one location, a third next year in another location, a third next year. And then by the time I get done with that third, I got to go back and do the next third. Right. And I'm done with it. Like we're going to have a meeting and we're going to talk about, look, this isn't feasible any longer.
If somebody's budget is what it is, they don't have another option. So the other option is to not do anything.
Well, to us right now, though, the old way was it all came back to Essentials Core, and it was the big 4 billion by 4 billion matrices and everything else. And now that we're plugging in network endpoints all over the place, it's easier to just do the whole thing and be done with it. And now it's an endpoint swap, not an entire infrastructure swap.
So, Jamie, I have a similar scenario where the College of Business wants to do like 25 rooms. Well, they don't have the budget to do 25 rooms in one shot. And Mark, to your point, I'll need to replace everything in there, but the vast majority of things, even if I'm just doing control and transport and displays and things, that still adds up. And so instead of trying to do it in phased across the board, I said, pick, a third of your rooms and a third of your rooms and a third of your rooms, and we'll do it that way. So yes, it will be a longer term project. But it was funny during the discussions of this when the business school, of all people, the business school business managers are now like, hey, wouldn't this be easier if we just knew how many we were doing every couple of years and just budgeted accordingly? I'm like, yes, it would.
But it's
one of those things where it's
my room. I've got to do like a third of a system.
Yeah, they had to discover that like themselves and like kind of come to that conclusion themselves to be like, oh, let's just do like 5 a year forever. Like, okay.
Yeah. That's the nuance that a lot of the individual colleges or departments, they only see the things within their little world. They're not understanding that you all, as a central, larger management, has to deal with 500 spaces. They're just worried about their little 20 spaces. You're like, oh, well, wait, wouldn't it be easy? Well, yes, it would be a lot easier if you just get on board with everything else. But that's not always the case. And that's a luxury if we actually get that. And so, I don't know. It's interesting. But let's bend this now. Larry, are you rethinking what is in your quote unquote standard quiver? Kit / whatever you're going with,
your backpack.
Yeah, as you approach your standard, has it changed? Or has there anything as of late that has made you think differently about what your standard may be?
Oh yeah, there's multiple projects that are rumored to be coming out this year that I think will greatly benefit me. But the problem is I got that one-time fund. And which means now I don't have time or the knowledge of what's rumored to actually quote and procure.
Wait, you don't quote people on vaporware?
No, I don't.
Oh.
And so I'm stuck again running what I've used another year, which will now be like the 4th year on that same standard. And I was really wanting to do 3 years and then jump to the next one.
But you don't have your next standard yet.
I don't have it because...
So what is it? I mean, isn't that easier to just stick with something that works?
It is, but at some point, like,
it's the cost of change. You got to make a jump somewhere.
I've got to make that...
But why? What's triggering that jump?
Multiple things. There are
he wants to get on this kit bandwagon, man. I'm telling you.
Smaller DSPs that I think will fit the classroom standard better. That will enable me...
Are you guys installing DSPs in your classrooms?
Why would you do that?
Every single one.
Why would you do that?
Because Microsoft Teams doesn't do audio very well.
Hey.
I used to not.
This is
don't
a
listen to him, Larry.
Discussion.
I'm with you. DSP everywhere.
Do you not put DSPs in on your class? Well,
wait.
you don't have speakers. It doesn't matter.
Where have you been for the past 5 years?
The floor is yours, Justin. How much do we need audio? Yeah.
I do want to clarify. When I say DSP, I mean full rack width thing with like 25 analog I/O on it. You're still buying one of those for every room?
It's a half rack thing. With
okay, that's
12,
better.
Like 8.
But still.
No, mine's custom configured card frame. What the? Whoa. Why wouldn't
I just took one of those out with amp cards.
And I only have that
and,
half rack because there's nothing smaller yet.
Okay, fair
There's
enough.
smaller things coming.
Rumored to be kept.
So the trigger is just
not from them, from like
size.
Catchbox and Shure. There's other options that I really want to explore.
But those have been shipping for a while.
You're not wrong.
You need to really get out there and explore the space.
I don't dare anybody revisit our standards episodes because I feel like that would take up too much time. But we'll wait. Go ahead and listen to those, and then we'll come back.
We'll wait right here
for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're back.
And we're back. So based on what you heard, now the question I have about standard is, do you absolutely need that level of horsepower in every type of space? Now, you said classroom. I'm willing to hedge and say that word classroom means something in your standard. And so that capability, so you need that capability, which can only be found within a now half-rack DSP or vaporware, correct?
Yes, or vaporware. Yeah.
Dang it, Cam. Get offline.
He's pushing us on 32x9 real hard.
Which I agree with. 32x9 is it depends if it's two
not in all
plays, yes.
spaces. I mean,
so Larry, aside from the DSP, are there other things that you're champing at the bit to actually integrate, or not integrate, but to include, but you haven't gotten there yet, and so now you're torn because this is your one opportunity, and the next opportunity is next March, and you kind of have to wait all the way around.
Well, I'm thinking next September is when I'm looking at it for sure now. But AV over IP, I want to at least explore, find out what it would look like in my island situation. Like, is it worth so I can move to the standard kit of parts? Like,
just
that
jump
seems
in,
like
man.
a
Just
reasonable
buy a ticket
solution.
and go. Get on the plane.
But
you haven't bought AV over IP in your classrooms yet?
Well, let's
I
pretend
have,
you did.
but not as my standard classroom.
Let's pretend you
I'm
did.
still HDBaseT everywhere.
Have you done more than one? Because it's a standard now.
Yeah. Let's pretend you're on the kit bandwagon, and we're 5 years down the road. 3 years down the road. Let's say we're 3 years down the road, and you're looking at a refresh coming up in the next year or two, would you automatically assume you have to replace everything in that stack? Again,
I don't replace everything now. But I replace, as Chris was saying, I replace the control, I replace the infrastructure, I replace the displays, I replace the audio. Well, the switching, the HDMI, HDBaseT switcher.
Distribution.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't mean in the walls. Whereas I'm doing a lot of that.
New Cat 6 every time.
Well, no, Justin, I have to put electrical in walls and ceilings because it wasn't done correctly 10 years ago, and they fished an extension cord across the ceiling.
Yeah. And
I'm doing that in some spaces now.
And I still have a whole
extension
bunch
cords
of
across the ceiling.
Yeah, Larry's the one doing it. He keeps showing up on my campus. We chase him off every morning. Get out of here.
And he only buys the bright green ones. But no, I'm still
Depot
changing.
specials
I'm still changing out VGA infrastructure and old RS-232 everywhere, where we had this giant bundle of cable, and now I need 3.
Justin, what's that cable called?
Yeah.
Cat 6?
No, the one that's all like
the
weird multi-core weird one.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're live, so say it all you want.
You don't have to say
DM
it.
cable?
No.
Yeah, that.
You know that stuff. Looks huge in your hands.
It's like
Looks like it
this.
belongs in an
You hold
adult
it
movie.
Yeah.
You hold it like that.
Yeah. Exactly how you do it. Okay.
So,
I'm
Larry,
not
are you
comfortable with
hoping
this conversation
when you make these changes, are you like hoping that you find the perfect widget you'll just keep buying forever and ever and ever?
No.
Or are you looking for like, okay, I'm going to do a video endpoint, and if it changes in 2 years, whatever, the fact is it's the technology, not necessarily the widget.
Exactly. That's more the thing. But I do like to have a standard that my students become familiar with.
Good point.
And that standard lasts every 3 years for support purposes. Like, I don't want to change it every year.
Is that when you fire all the students?
3 years.
They graduate then, and
They
I
get
don't worry
one
about
more
it.
year to train the next tranche of students, and then we switch.
Exactly.
What's the 3 years? What's the 3?
Well, that's the average life of a student.
3 to 4, somewhere in there. But that way,
Senior.
across a student's life, or
That's how long
academic
your students
career.
live.
The term is academic career, Larry.
What are y'all drinking in North Carolina?
along their academic career, they only have to like really become familiar with like 2 standards, maybe 3 if there's a couple of oddballs
So
out
you're
there.
blowing university money on your student change out every 3 years?
No.
We replace the students with the rooms. They
We throw them out with the
systems age
bathwater.
out.
surplus.
Wait, you guys don't replace your students?
I'm trying to follow this
I'm
North
not-
Carolina money.
This isn't
I
Western
think Elon
Kentucky.
needs to audit North Carolina.
Yeah.
Students or
Listening.
classroom technology does become end of life at some point, Justin. And
Yes,
so our
when it dies.
replacement cycle
Exactly.
is 8 years.
That's end of life when it's dead. It's dead. It's end of life. Therefore, you replace it.
You can see how hard this conversation is to have. This is more reminiscent
So
of
is that
yeah.
is that
Go ahead.
holding you up then? I'm gonna take video for example, right? So like a few years
Take
ago, I was running out OmniStream, and now I'm running out Visionaries. Are you worried of that switch, or are you worried
Is it-
like
is
the
it a
DSP
product
where
or is it
it's
a capability?
more programming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the capability. Like it's okay. I want to explore moving in this direction, AV over IP.
Right.
There are multiple flavors I could go, but whatever flavor I go needs to be the standard that will meet all of my applications for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
a lot of
there's
pressure.
No, it
There's
is the
a lot
actual
of
pressure that
pressure on
exists
Larry.
everywhere in the world right now because there's
No, you
many
don't.
Yeah.
there's many folks that are trying to determine that exact thing, Larry. I think it's a valid concern because there's a lot of people who have waited and they're checking the market, seeing where things are. Where's our capability? Where's the maturity? Which team am I going to go with? Am I going to be this brand of AV over IP or that brand, or what am I getting? I think yes, the product and the team you hitch yourself onto is important, but I think there's a lot of capabilities need to exist in your FTE, your staff, your students, all of those, and focus on that stuff too. So if you are going to make a change in your standard, what does it now mean to your actual knowledge base? How does it change how you service a space? How does it change programmatically? What does it change from your data environment? You mentioned islands. Those awarenesses as it pertains, it's not about just buying a thing. It's not the stuff here. Again, it's not the stuff. It's the capabilities and what happens when you make that change. And I think in reviewing your standards, being aware of all that is kind of the exercise. Understand that if I make this change, what downstream effects are going to happen and how am I going to support this? What does it mean? and super sneaker net now because I'm in an island, so now I have to run and do all this. So does it have cascading effects that change the way you support your spaces, and what does that mean to your students and your frontline staff? So it's all the ball of wax that are happening with the AV over IP conversation, is that we're changing from like the analog philosophy to the full digital philosophy, and all the toolkit and support has to go with it. And so it's you're not alone in that concern. And I think it's easy to tiptoe and back into it through like the thing I'm going to buy as my standard, but really it's much larger than that.
See, if you come to WKU and work, you have the luxury of designing
you guys are off to
something
work.
once.
It snows, yeah.
And then if you screw it up so bad, that's one mistake, and then you move on to the next room because you're doing one thing at a time.
It's not a failure.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's a learning opportunity.
I don't make 100 mistakes when I design something wrong. I just make one.
So you're saying you don't make the same mistake 100 times. You make 100 different mistakes.
Every time.
Hell yeah.
Failure. Fail.
Exactly.
First attempt in learning.
There's not of an impact across the university when one product fails, a promise isn't delivered from that manufacturer. It's like, yeah, we're not buying that shit again. Move on to room number 2.
Well,
but you only have one of them.
And try something new.
This is where I found it really liberating.
Then you don't have any standards. Everything ends up in the other bucket that way.
Everything
That's
ends
the
up in the other
negative
bucket.
side of that.
Legacy.
But
Whatever the hell
Legacy
it was.
end
your
of life.
mistakes,
Yes.
your mistakes are easily forgotten.
because
and-
they're everywhere.
Are they? Or are you constantly reminding them every single day because you cannot keep that room moving
I
forward?
walk down a hallway, mistake.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
And that's
I mean,
looking at his student workers. Mistake.
Yeah, we have deployments in
usually
AV over
blame
IP
that
that we
on,
know
like-
they weren't the way it needed to be in day one, but we had to start somewhere. You got to
Yeah.
jump in.
usually you blame the budget. Like, well, I couldn't afford this thing that I wanted, so we went with this other thing, so it sucks. So we're not going to buy that again, but they got to deal with it because they didn't have the money to buy what we recommended.
Yeah, and I
Hey,
found
Justin,
it
your
really
group isn't
liberating
responsible for service, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's the way you make your service department really angry.
We know
We
every
keep them gainfully
manufacturer.
employed. It's different. It's all about perspective.
Our control systems are QSys, Crestron, Kramer, Extron.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
We have
No problem here.
Zoom, iPad things.
AMX.
No
I have that too.
AMX.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
It's all relevant. I mean,
think
what
that's-
services are those brands delivering you?
Wait, Justin, you don't have AMX?
No.
So you're saying there's room
It's all
for another
Panja.
standard?
Hey, you gave me an idea. Hold on.
But I'm
gonna go install one tomorrow.
Specking
I've
something
also
new.
kind of given up on that infrastructure. That like I don't care if I have all these products anymore. I just don't care anymore. Because if I'm trying to grow my staff too, this says, okay, if you're going to go work for an integrator, guess
You're going to see
what?
all of it anyway. Yeah.
You're going to see all of it anyway. And if you understand how it all works,
Will you, though?
let's roll it.
Will you, though?
Look,
Maybe.
in premise. But, I'm buying a lot of the main manufacturers. I'm not running a whole lot of homegrown Raspberry Pi stuff. I think it's cool. We're just not doing it.
There you go, Justin. Raspberry Pi control, buddy.
Homegrown.
Yeah,
Just like
homegrown,
Mama used to
home-coded.
make.
I mean,
But
we're not
I-
sociopaths here, so it's.
I do like the idea that I can focus on, look, I'm going to do video over IP and I need it to be under a gig and I need it to be able to do control over it and something else, right? And now I have this parameter and I don't care what box I get. Does it have an API? Can I control it easily from whatever system I want to use? And let's roll with it. Same with DSPs. Does it fit my parameter standard, not the name brand standard? And I think that's where some people get hung up. Is like, it's got to be NVX. It has to be NAV. It has to be QSys. Why?
No, it doesn't.
Can I
That's what
push
people
against
know.
that for just
Well, expand your mind, learn more shit, right? Get more educated on what's out there.
Learn more shit.
But we've been talking about
fun.
cloud management and how there's not
Yes.
that single pane of glass. So by not standardizing on one logo on all these systems, you're opening yourself up to where until there is that single pane of glass, support becomes a little more challenging because you've got all these different systems.
I'm not buying all the same product from a manufacturer just to have a single pane of glass. That's not going to happen.
Here's the joke of it. Even if you're 100% in on an ecosystem, they still don't have
not
a single
as
pane of glass.
Yeah, and that's been my challenge when we get to that support of a single pane of glass. across the board anyway. And right now we're employing the spreadsheet with hyperlinks protocol, right?
That's the universal controls or the universal monitoring system.
Well, single pane of glass right there. But you're right. However, if it fits my parameter, if it does its job on a daily basis and has an API, then in theory, like we were talking about in that show that we did, was that somebody could write those hooks. You could hire, if you so desired, a full-time programmer that's going to make that hook for you. I'm not in that world right now, which is what we talked about in that whole show. So go listen to that, folks. Again, we'll wait.
Now we're back. Okay.
And we're back.
But that's part of the reason I make some of that, and I've just that's tomorrow Jamie's hiccup.
That's future Jamie's problem.
That problem, yeah.
Today's Jamie is just make sure the stuff's all moving and working. And how do I make that so it's easy?
But defining tomorrow's standards is kind of tomorrow's Jamie's issue.
To be held accountable.
But you do that the day of.
Yeah, but Larry, he's going to blame past Jamie, and current Jamie doesn't have to deal with that.
Look, future Jamie is an a-hole and is going to get fired. But present Jamie,
based on the actions of previous Jamie, yes.
How is that different from past Jamie or present Jamie?
Past Jamie keeps getting promoted. So what's happening?
Well, sooner or later,
current Jamie just has to clean up after past Jamie, leaving all this problems for future Jamie.
When you bounce checks, somebody finds you.
Maybe we are sociopaths.
Maybe we are. So, I don't know,
Larry. Did this answer any of your questions? Did we get anywhere?
Not a one.
I still have a question about this one-time funds thing, but I deferred that whole question to another time.
So Larry, I guess to that, are they one-time funds, or is this magic end of year monies?
Magic end of year money.
Yeah.
I am impressed that you know by March. We get ours like, hey, it's May 5th. You have to spend this by May 30th.
Yeah, that's what we get.
So we have to pre-pep. That's why my list is usually populated with the kit of parts.
The kit. How much
just
kit can
buy
you get
as many of those as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And
well, and when you get it at that point, it's not your kit of parts. It's kit of what's available right now. Yeah. Like what can actually be shipped and received in time.
Look, I don't know what company you're buying from over the last 5 or 6 years, but come on.
With your end of year money, do you have to receive it by like end of fiscal year?
The end of year, yeah.
Well, usually it's received and installed.
Right. Because unless you're mailing cash to a manufacturer somewhere, which
that's malarkey.
Suspect you're not doing that. Yeah.
So we run the same thing.
Encumbering funds.
It has to be on-prem.
Funds.
You can't. They don't like it. The accounting office does not like carrying that over. They like to close out their books and be clean.
Well, yeah, but who cares? It's the accounting.
We're not saying
office,
it's impossible. It's just frowned upon.
You need them on your side, so when you make a major cock up like I did today on a previous project, that they don't come after me. So
whoa.
It was an invoicing thing and blah, 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 blah. And so
you were doing it wrong.
I was doing it wrong because I literally forgot about a change order and whoops. But it was like $5,000. So no big deal. But
that's a $5,000. That's like a whole classroom here.
That's like 3 classrooms.
That's my paycheck for a 5-year employee.
Yeah.
No. So the way it works at UW, and the same thing is people get notification of what monies are available in about like the April, May-ish timeline, which means they have about a month. And my first couple of years there, they would then reach out to me at that point. And I would tell them, like, there's no way we could pull off 1 or 2 of these. There's no way you can have this done. So departments have learned, and unfortunately, they are now contacting me in December to see what things are going to cost based on end of year, which means I do a lot of kind of prep work and design work for spaces that probably will never exist, annoyingly. Yes. And a lot of those are common kit of parts. It's the same, we need a conference room, we need a classroom. I can give them numbers on that right now, but some of them are specialized or some of them are unique or have different circumstances around it, but they don't know if these are real. In fact, I had 2 meetings on these today at various places. I give about a 50-50 shot. Those never exist, but we have to kind of still put numbers together. So when they do come back in May, we can potentially move on some of them, which is annoying. So yeah, it is a process. But to Larry's point, I'm still working within my known kit of parts, my known pile of equipment. So it's pretty much the same stuff over and over. But yeah, but I do it like Justin. I'll change out stuff at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, I'll give a shit.
I don't like that camera bar. This one, so.
Gone. Moving forward.
Because I agree to some extent with Justin's philosophy of like, hey guys, we're changing to a different model camera because that one pissed me off. So all of a sudden, it's this camera. So for example, I installed 5 rooms with a particular ceiling microphone array, which turned out to be a bit of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to a different one because I'm not going back to that one. So
I do it all the time. And then somebody,
Standardized
manufacturer
experience.
calls me and says, why did you stop buying our stuff? Well, mostly because it sucks.
Stop working. Yeah.
And I'm okay with all that, like minor incidental stuff, cameras, speakers, projectors, sound, like all that's fine.
Everything.
I'll
You
switch
just
that.
rattle off the
Everything.
entire classroom.
what's left, Larry?
So
Left
effectively,
is the
everything
parts
is
that
left is
actually
like
matter.
the network switch and the endpoint is all we're talking about at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Control
And I
systems,
swap those out too.
they piss
Larry's
me off.
really
They're gone.
concerned about the DSPs
I
and
can
control
care
system,
about control
I guess.
systems.
Yeah. What's in your ecosystem?
Control systems, audio, switching. Those are the big ones.
Tell the data story. Understand. Where's
Switch
it
it
going?
up.
Yeah.
Alternate manufacturers for like
Just every year.
room
Hey,
in the building.
we're in Extron or
No.
whatever year. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Or just don't buy that stuff.
Or just now you're talking Teams room. Let's go.
Remote control. Let's do it.
I am, yeah. I
We
use
don't
that
have
phrase on
Teams rooms, so
I
we
use
don't
that
buy
phrase
that
on campus
stuff.
enough that my team now knows it. It's like I'll just give them an HDMI wall plate and a remote, and we'll never hear from them again. Because for a lot of people, that's all they need. They don't need the full touch panel control system, all that stuff. For their basic room, wall plate and remote. It's amazing. So
I
How is
was
that
on
going
a
to show up
panel
on
on
the
the
That
wall.
experience should be reflected in one of your standards somewhere.
it is. It's
I
type
was on a meeting with
0 _ A
some
part
small
3.
schools that I was explaining that very idea, and they go, "We're way more sophisticated here. It's touch panels everywhere." I'm like,
Cool.
That doesn't mean you're sophisticated.
This means you're
Gluttons for
wasting
punishment.
money,
Yeah.
probably.
Now, to be fair, I used to think the same thing, but not anymore.
Yeah, it's again, one size does not necessarily fit all. If you have a very small footprint, maybe sub 100 rooms, and you have nice endowment money or whatever it is that's keeping you afloat, then go ahead and put that 12-inch touch panel in every small huddle space.
12? What are we on a budget here?
They make 15 ultra
21
wides
by
now.
9, 24-inch ultra wides are fantastic. And then I put all the UCI in the middle.
More buttons, the better.
Just ads all around the side of that.
It's like a 4x3 slide in the 21x9 touch panels.
With a
This
calendar.
classroom brought to you by Pepsi.
It's a
I don't want
calendar
any
running
page
inside.
flips on my touch panel. I want every page showed up at once, so I don't have
Every
to,
button available at all times.
You never know.
But they
Doesn't
cycle through. Like
I want the airplane
Like
from
security camera footage.
Yeah, give me the airplane. I want all that right, just right there.
New standard for you. There you go, Larry.
Put projector freeze next to mute.
That's
All
it.
of it.
I'm in
I
an
had somebody-
airplane
I had
cockpit
some-
control system now. I mean, whack-a-mole's done.
Since
We're
you mentioned
changing.
projector freeze, that's one of those buttons that I eliminated years ago because who needs that? I've had one instructor who was now livid that that's not on the touch panel in the room. We had to go in and he kept bringing it up. We had to go in and add it like on the advanced
I remember
page.
that when that was like a source of debate with
That's a new
the
standard, Chris.
Crestron folks and their module that like the freeze is not there anymore. Like bring it back. And so it was.
It's one of those things, and that's fine. I mean, if that's the way he wants to teach. We had blank, we had power off and all that, but no, he needs freeze. I'm like, all right, fine.
I get the use case. I've seen it.
I don't know. Just tell your students to take a picture of it and then just look at it.
We're not even turning the projector on. Just use your phone. What are we doing
Hey,
here?
Larry,
I'm just going to email you all the files. You figure it
You
out.
just figure this shit out.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on Larry needing to update his standards because stuff isn't shipping yet?
Get it, Larry.
It's shipping. It's just
Not
Be
much
bold.
more.
Like,
Be bold,
Is this
take
5 years
chances.
ago?
No.
Why are we having this? Are we like?
I don't know
worried
where
about
the not shipping came from, but
You just said because you're basing
said it
you're
earlier.
specking vaporware.
He wants to
that-
spec
yeah,
things
that's
that
not
actually
shipping
exist.
yet.
Yeah.
I do things that I have physically tested and I know work.
So this is just more your frustration that somebody announced something that's not yet available to you.
And things that I just haven't had time to like dig into.
Oh, by the way, when
'Cause
you
there
test
are
things, because I got burnt by this recently, the testing on the test bench is not always sufficient. I had to
We
put
need
it
to
in
have
more
a show about testing.
than a more
We need
complex
to
room to find problems.
Deep dive into testing. When do you test something, and when do you not?
Coming
As soon
next
as I'm,
month.
Before you
as soon as
buy
I'm
it.
installing
Next
it on
episode.
No,
Of how we do it
if
in
you're
the field.
replacing
Yep.
a HDMI switcher with another one, and it's the same exact functionality, maybe a different brand, are you testing every HDMI switcher, or like what do you?
No.
What's your threshold of testing?
Oh, save
and
it for the
why?
show.
Save it for the next one.
Exactly. Isn't that
Okay.
a good? That would be all right.
it's not.
That's a good topic. We'll add
Nobody
that
wants
for
to
on
listen to
topic.
that? All right, fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit this button and we're going to shut up.
Good luck, Larry.
Are we
Spend
done?
that money. Go get it. So, either way.
We'll be back next month with a topic of something or other. Probably test
Deuces.
See ya.
Thanks for putting up with yet another episode of AV SuperFriends On Topic. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.